When people think of Rolex, they often think of wealth status and a watch that signals success before a word is spoken. That perception is powerful, but it is also misleading. Rolex did not become a legend by selling timepieces as symbols of luxury. It became a legend by redefining what timekeeping itself was supposed to mean in the modern world. Rolex's genius lies in an unusual fusion of engineering rigor, narrative discipline, and institutional patience, a combination that transformed a fragile mechanical object into a global benchmark for reliability, endurance, and aspiration. Rolex does not merely tell time. It tells a story about mastery over time. The origins of Rolex are surprisingly unromantic. Hans Wilsdorf, the company's founder, was not a watchmaker by training. He was a merchant with an obsession. In the early 20th century, wristwatches were considered inferior to pocket watches, delicate novelties, unsuitable for serious use. Accuracy was suspect. Durability was questionable. Prestige lay elsewhere. Wilsdorf saw an opportunity precisely where convention saw weakness. He believed that the wristwatch would become essential, but only if it could be trusted absolutely. From the beginning, Rolex was not chasing fashion. It was chasing credibility. This focus on credibility shaped Rolex's earliest decisions. Wilsdorf invested heavily in precision movements and subjected them to chronometer certification when few competitors bothered. He understood that trust is built not through claims, but through standards verified by independent authorities. Accuracy became Rolex's first pillar, not as a marketing slogan, but as a measurable commitment. In an era when time governed trains, factories, and coordination across empires, accuracy was not a luxury. It was power. The second pillar emerged through a radical idea: durability as identity. Mechanical watches were vulnerable to dust, moisture, and shock. Rolex treated these vulnerabilities as design failures rather than unavoidable facts. The oyster case, introduced in 1926, was a turning point. It sealed the movement inside a waterproof shell, transforming the wristwatch from a delicate instrument into a robust tool. Wilsdorf did not unveil this innovation quietly. He staged it. When Mercedes Gleitze swam the English Channel wearing a Rolex oyster, the watch survived. The message was unmistakable. Rolex did not promise elegance first. It promised survival. This pattern would repeat endlessly. Rolex did not advertise aspiration in the abstract. It attached itself to real-world trials where failure was visible and unforgiving. Explorers, divers, pilots, scientists. When Rolex watches accompanied expeditions to the depths of the ocean or the summit of Everest, they were not props. They were instruments. The Submariner, the GMT Master, the Explorer were not lifestyle products designed by committees. They were solutions to specific problems faced by professionals operating at the edge of human capability. Rolex built watches for function first, then allowed meaning to accumulate naturally around that function. What distinguishes Rolex from other luxury brands is its relationship with innovation. Rolex innovates constantly, but quietly. New alloys, improved movements, refined tolerances, better shock absorption, enhanced power reserves. These changes rarely look dramatic from the outside. The silhouette remains familiar. The designs evolve slowly. This is deliberate. Rolex understands that trust compounds when change is incremental and backward compatible. A Rolex from decades ago still feels like a Rolex today. Continuity becomes reassurance. In a world obsessed with novelty, Rolex chose consistency as its radical strategy. This strategy extends beyond products into the very structure of the company. Rolex is privately held, owned by a foundation, rather than shareholders demanding quarterly returns. This unusual arrangement gives Rolex something extraordinarily rare in modern capitalism time. Decisions are not rushed. Trends are observed rather than chased. Capacity is expanded carefully. Scarcity is maintained not through artificial hype, but through disciplined production control. Rolex makes many watches, but never enough to feel common. Desire is managed, not exploited. Rolex's branding reflects the same restraint. Advertising does not shout. It associates. Tennis courts, yachting regattas, golf tournaments, scientific achievements. Rolex aligns itself with arenas where excellence is earned slowly through repetition and pressure. Time in these contexts is not background noise. It is the central variable. By embedding itself in moments where time decides outcomes, Rolex reinforces its core narrative without ever stating it directly. The brand becomes a witness to achievement rather than a commentator on it. Perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of Rolex is its relationship with status. While Rolex watches undeniably signal success, the brand never framed itself as a reward for wealth alone. It framed itself as a marker of competence, endurance, and seriousness. This distinction matters. A Rolex does not promise to make you special. It suggests that you have already proven something, whether in business, sport, exploration, or personal discipline. This subtle inversion protects Rolex from becoming a mere fashion accessory. It remains an emblem of credibility rather than trend. Over time, this philosophy created an extraordinary secondary effect: longevity of value. Rolex watches do not merely hold their worth, many appreciate. This is not accidental. It is the result of consistent design language-controlled supply and a reputation that resists dilution. When an object becomes both tool and heirloom, it transcends consumption. It becomes part of identity passed across generations. Few brands achieve this without becoming static. Rolex did it by treating time not as something to outrun, but as something to cultivate patiently. Yet even a legend faces tension. Mechanical watches now exist in a world dominated by atomic clocks, smartphones, and digital precision orders of magnitude beyond what a mechanical movement can achieve. The practical need for a Rolex has vanished. The brand's relevance now rests entirely on meaning, not necessity. And it is exactly at this point that the deeper question of Rolex's legend begins to emerge, because once a product no longer competes on utility, it must compete on values, symbolism, and trust. And the challenge becomes whether a brand built on precision and endurance can continue to matter in a world where time is measured more accurately than ever, but valued less deeply than before. And that unresolved tension is the unfinished thought we must now carry forward into the next part, Vor.